surprise to any teacher or parent that we, ourselves and our kids, rely heavily on technology for communication. It's the 21st century where we're all connected, the digital age, where what we talk about is connection. And it's pretty awesome. We can talk to schools in Africa. We can play mastermind with students in Ontario, Canada. And we can tour an ice cream shop in San Francisco, all without leaving our classroom. But when given the opportunity, do we know how to form a personal connection through face-to-face conversation with someone who is right there? It may sound like a funny question, but we need to ask ourselves, is there any 21st century skill more important than connecting through sustained, confident, coherent conversation? And I'm not talking Skype or FaceTime. I'm talking real time, conversation face-to-face in the immediate presence of others. You know, the author Theodore Zeldin once said that conversation is a meeting of the minds with different memories and habits. And when minds meet, they don't just exchange facts. They transform them, reshape them, draw different implications from them, and engage in new trains of thought. Conversation doesn't just reshuffle the cards, it creates new cards. When I was a kid, I had a really special soccer coach, one who was interested in more than just the outcome of the game, one who took the time to get to know me as a player and as a person. So I remember playing center half one day and missing this really important pass, one that probably could have cost us the game. But after the game, Coach saw how badly I felt about my mistake, and he took the time to have a brief conversation with me. Well, I immediately started apologizing for missing the pass, and he gently interrupted me. And in his Scottish accent, he said, "Oh, Christine, you missed that pass. Do you know what you might have done differently?" Well, I had 2 or 3 reasons of how I could have done a better job. And he listened with great intent, getting a grasp on what I was saying, taking in all the strategies that I had for myself for the next time. And he smiled and nodded, and he said, "You know, I see you working very hard at practice, and I have a plan. I'll show you some techniques that will help you out in that situation the next time. You know, I have a lot of confidence in you. We'll run some drills. We'll practice. You'll get it. Now chin up. Good effort." That conversation was neither an apology nor a lecture. It simply created a new card so that I had the gumption to come back to practice and try again. Conversations are naturally occurring events with the immediate effect of creating a connection and making sense of the participant's world. You don't have to worry about saying just the right thing or getting professional results. Simply by engaging in conversation with individuals, you're respectfully giving them the human connection that everyone needs and deserves. Let me invite you inside my classroom to see how conversation leads to connection. Here at Ross School, teachers work with students individually in a ritual called the writing conference. Now this is where the teacher asks the student what they would like to share about their written piece, and together they have a conversation about applying lessons that were previously taught and then what the next steps are going to be when the writing conversation is over. So recently, I had a writing conference with one of my students, and I was totally prepared. I had read the piece in advance. I had all my writing compliments lined up, and I was ready to deliver those next steps, just what the student would work on for the next half hour. But the student had something else in mind that he wanted to talk about. The conversation morphed into what happened at lacrosse practice the day before, and then his annoying little brother, and what he was going to have for dinner that night. After sharing a few stories and a few laughs, we were able to continue this writing conference. He had flushed his mind of all distractions, and now he was ready to write. And this just showed me that when we don't feel threatened in any way, we have a willingness to make ourselves vulnerable, open to new ideas, and guidance from others. And that's the ideal context for learning. It is through these conversations that we make ourselves available to kids, both academically and personally. We're building bonds of trust that explore the natural way for us to think together and learn from each other. In conversation, we share ideas and feelings. We co-create knowledge and meaning. We nurture webs of relationships, and we imagine our future. We learn to read faces rather than emojis, understand feeling through tone of voice and body language, and we choose just the right words to make ourselves understood. And that takes practice. Conversation is not always intuitive. And because it's two-sided, sometimes the interaction can be unpredictable. We're confident that we can offer a connection through our conversation, but at the same time, we're hopeful that the connection we make is meaningful, even if we don't see immediate evidence. But by taking opportunities of conversational FaceTime, both in the classroom and at home, we learn to connect with our kids on a much more personal level. Sometimes conversations that start out as group discussions can create a very personal, individual connection in the end. I had a class meeting where we were discussing goal setting. Goals that were going to take our academics to the next level. Goals that were deliberate and measurable. I had to inspire the kids to think of some words that they could say to themselves as they worked to achieve these goals. Something they could repeat over and over as they persevered through their challenges. So I showed them a video of pro surfer Carissa Moore. And she's cutting in and out of these waves as she's facing her challenges. And the waves are getting bigger and bigger as she goes. And we're noting the words that come across the screen. Take the time to learn. Take the time to have fun. Take the time to commit. So we continued this positive self-talk by brainstorming our own short phrases that we could say to ourselves. They might become our own personal mantras. Hard work pays off. Anything is possible. Do or do not, there is no try. So I shared my personal favorite that I borrowed from a running shoe company. Find your strong. I explained to the kids that I say this to myself when things get difficult for me. That last mile of the 10K run, standing in that long line at the grocery store, or writing those last few report cards. Find your strong, Miss Heilmann. So I left the meeting that day, feeling like we had a really good group discussion, not necessarily personally connected with the kids. On Monday morning, though, I was excitedly greeted by one of my students. She had been at lacrosse tryouts in Berkeley all weekend long. She came up to me that morning and she said, Miss Heilmann, I made the lacrosse team. I did not think I was going to. It was so hard. There were running drills and skill drills, and I was doing my best. But you know what I said to myself? Looked at her with a smile. I said, what did you say to yourself? And with pride beaming and renewed confidence, she said, find your strong. And I did. We had connected that day after all. And she had used that spark to overcome challenges that she was facing in a completely different setting. Conversations are social, collaborative events where new understandings emerge because of the interaction. They take place throughout the day and for lots of different reasons. To share information, to clarify, to make plans, to compliment, and even to complain. But regardless of the reason, each conversation has the goal of connection. So ask yourself, have you practiced the art of connecting through conversation today? Give yourself that opportunity. Thank you.